Hello everyone, it's Dr. Laura Mock here again today. I want to thank you for joining me for another instructional video. I just want to apologize because I haven't been around for the past 2 weeks, and that is because last weekend, which usually I make my weekend, my videos on the weekend when I have free time, I attended a great dental meeting called the Voices of Dentistry. So I am going to tag some of you organizers in that in my video today in hopes that you'll take a look at my video, and I want to tell each of you that it was a great meeting and I'm already registered to go back. Actually, I won a contest, to be honest. So I'm going back for free. Thanks, guys. I actually won 2 contests while I was there. So, hashtag winner right here. But anyway, if you haven't been to the Voices of Dentistry and you are a dentist, consider going next year. It was really worthwhile. So, the subject of our chat tonight is how to correct an employee with gratitude and a focus on the future. Just a couple weeks ago, I did an informal survey on one of the dental Facebook groups. I think it was Dental Nachos. I'm pretty sure it was. And Paul Goodman, thank you for organizing that group. It was an informal survey, and basically I was trying to get answers about what people thought was the hardest part of being a dentist. And I volunteered that I thought the hardest part was actually being an employer. And I said, what does everybody else think? Is it surgery? Is it molar endo? Is it dealing with grumpy patients? I couldn't get a single person to disagree with me. They all agreed that being an employer is the hardest part. Now, I'm sure you all agree with me. Well, if you don't, please let me know what you think is the hardest part. I'm about to say something that's kind of uncomfortable. So if you don't want to hear anything uncomfortable tonight, just turn it off and go turn on Marie Kondo on Netflix or something and veg out on something different. Here is the thing. Your dental practice that you have right now is exactly as you have chosen it to be over time. So, for example, that employee who's on her phone right now, texting, you led her to that. That impatient who is asking you to charge out a prophy instead of a perio maintenance every other time they come in, you nurtured that. Now, I know what you're saying in your head. You're like, but Laura, that was the employee or that was the patient. I didn't choose that. I didn't tell him to do that. But I'm here to tell you that it is true, and it's actually very good news. I know that's crazy to hear, but just hear me out for a couple of minutes, okay? It's been yours. You have made it the way it is, and it's still yours, which means you can change it into what you want in a more deliberate fashion. Your practice is an ecosystem of habits, systems, protocols, expectations, and that the entire center of the ecosystem is you. So if an employee does something contrary to your wishes, you can correct it, or you can nurture the mistake by ignoring it or whining about it, which is even worse, instead of proper correction. Now, if you're a lady like me, you might be thinking in your head right now, oh, I just hate correcting my employees. It's so hard to do without coming off like a bitch. And I'm here. I totally hear what you're saying. But I'm going to tell you right now that regardless of your gender, you can do this. I know that if you're a woman, you were taught from the time that you were very young that it is your job to be nice and make people feel good. And what happens is we're afraid that if we're correcting someone that they're not going to feel good. And then we either have to be mean to get what we want across, or we sound like a whiner, or we just lay down and let them do whatever they want. And I'm going to tell you right now, even if you are a woman, you can overcome this thing that you were socialized to believe, that that you have to make people feel good, that you can't be an effective leader without making people feel bad. And so I'm going to tell you how I grew up, and I'm doing it for a perspective for you, not to tell you, not to complain, but just to help you understand, just kind of put it in perspective, okay? Because if I can do it, I know you can do it. So I was raised in a family and a culture where I was strongly told that my sole purpose in living on this earth was to have babies, okay? So the women in my family did not work outside the home. They were supposed to stay home and raise as many babies as possible and do the sort of like homemaker thing. Now, I am not criticizing homemakers. I have so much respect for women who stay home to raise their babies, and I applaud their ability to make that decision. But keep in mind that for me, I sat in class after class as a teen where I was warned that if I was going to pursue a career, that was of the devil, okay? And not only that, but from the time I was about 3 years old, I was taught songs like, when I grow up, I want to be a mother and have a family. So I'm telling you this to illustrate the full amount of expectation around me that I was not going to be a leader, okay? I was going to be a mom and a mom only. In fact, when my maternal grandmother, who gave me life into this world, found out that as a mom myself, I had 2 small children when I got accepted into dental school. One was about 1 year old and the other one was almost 3. And I had spent the last 2 years being a mom during the day and then putting them to bed and either going to class or doing my math and my science. And I got accepted into the only school that I applied to the first time. And I was competing with all these young people who did not have kids. And when I told my grandma that I got accepted into dental school, she accused me of abandoning my children. Now, I am not telling you this to complain about where I come from. I would not trade it for anything. I learned so much from the way I grew up, and I am incredibly grateful for the people who did their best job that they could in raising me. I am telling you this because even me, who was taught not to be a leader and not to pursue professional school, even I have learned how to correct an employee, and I know that you can too. All right, so here we go. I have written out some steps. There's 7 of them. This part will go fast. This is going to be a quick video. First of all, in your head, you're going to identify the mistake that the employee made, and you're going to be as specific as you can. I would suggest writing it down and also spell out the preferred behavior. For example, one time my front desk person made a mistake while she was on the phone with a patient. She just made an error in judgment in what to do with the patient and his complaint. And when I found out what happened, I made her a flow chart to help her decide how to handle that type of decision in the future. So it's very, very specific. And then what I want you to do is before you pull that employee in to correct them, I want you to take a moment to remember what it felt like in your first job, where you really wanted to make your manager happy, please your boss, and you might have felt kind of scared. And I want you to do that because I'm here to let you know the vast majority of our dental employees, they want to please you, and it's a hard job. It can be very draining. So just go in there with some empathy. So you're going to call your employee into the office for a private chat during a non-crunchy time, which might be a couple of days before you can do it, but you want to do it sometime soon. And then the first thing that you're going to do, this is step 3, is you're going to express gratitude for the employee's efforts. This is extremely important. When employees leave their employers, the number one reason why they do that is because they don't feel appreciated. It doesn't have to do with pay. It's not being appreciated. And I'm telling you right now, appreciating your employees is free. and well worth the effort. And then you're going to point out the mistake that they made with understanding, but also with correction, and you're going to present to them what you want them to do instead. And then again, you're going to compliment their efforts and reassure that they have an important place in your team, which is true, or you wouldn't have hired them. You need them. Your excellent employees are what make your practice great. Then you're going to express confidence that they have got this in the bag. I mean, like I said, you wouldn't have hired them if you didn't have confidence. So make sure that they know that you do have confidence, because it can really be hard to get corrected, you guys. It's hard on this part of you. So just remember to try to build that part back up. And then later, you're going to follow up with encouragement, especially when you see them doing the thing right instead of wrong. All right, you guys. So just one more really important note, and that is that blame does not have any place in this correction. Maybe something crappy happened because your employee made a mistake, but honestly, there's only one person that you could blame. So I always make sure when I'm talking to an employee about a mistake that they made, that they understand that I am here to correct them right now, and I'm not doing this because it's not effective. It just destroys morale and it doesn't correct behavior very well. And if you're fascinated by this subject about responsibility in the part when I was pointing at myself, I encourage you to read a book called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. If you listen to it, it's kind of fun because he reads it himself and he's got this really unique voice, which is kind of fun, and it will keep you listening. And he's got a bunch of really great stories. So that is all I have for you tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to my podcasts. I know, it's not as convenient because it's only on YouTube right now. Someday soon, I'll put it on a real platform. But for now, YouTube is free, which is why I do it here. And I just really thank you each for listening to my podcast. And don't forget to share. I always appreciate a share or even a comment or a like. Thank you, everyone.